Sometimes you'll run into situations where you have to cut a piece of opaque glass to get it to fit into an existing space. If you're using clear glass, obviously that's easy, you just trace it. But for example, here on this character that I'm working on, I've added in these clouds, and these were not part of my original design, so I don't have a solid template to cut from, and these are going to be made from opaque white glass. So let me show you a method that I use to make that happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a piece of fairly portable clear glass. I'll lay that over the space, and then I'm going to use a dry erase marker, just a basic dry erase, to trace the shape onto my transparent glass. Now that I have the shape drawn out onto my piece of glass, I'm going to use that to create a template. And I'm going to lay a piece of paper over that, use my blade knife, and trace this out. And as you can see, this shape is very irregular, kind of unwieldy. It's got lots of little inside curves and points on it. And my glass that I have is not 100% opaque. These are clouds, so I'm using a piece of white opalescent glass. But it's just, I can't capture all those fine little changes. I can vaguely see some of these grooves and hooks on here, but a lot of this detail is lost as I'm looking at it through this glass. But here you can see where all that detail is, and all that detail that was lost if I were to try to trace it directly onto this opalescent glass. Not to mention the fact that my project itself, I don't have a light behind, so I wouldn't even be able to see it in this much detail. I basically wouldn't see anything. So now that we have our template, I'm now going to lay this down, make sure that I lay it down properly with the grain of the glass. This is a continuous piece that's going to have other parts to the same cloud, so I need to make sure I'm flowing everything correctly and aligning it correctly. Okay, now I'm just going to take my marker and trace my template directly onto the glass. Okay, we're going to give that a moment to dry. Go ahead and pop off our template. Okay, and then we'll get cutting. lot of these details I'm gonna have to manage using my rotary tool. My grinder can't do little inside cuts like that. I have a few different markers that I use for marking on glass. The ones that I use are actually paint. They're paint markers. And I have a variety of colors, but they work differently depending on the color. Black is probably my least favorite one to use because it never really seems to dry completely. You saw where, as my finger came away from some of these after holding it down, you can peel some of the paint away even after it's dried. The one that works the most reliably is white, but since this is white glass, it's not going to work for me. Okay, let's go ahead and grind this out. It's about as much as I can get done with a standard grinder. Let's go ahead and get this down to the rotary tool. Okay, I've got my rotary tool. Let's go ahead and grind out some of those inside curves. Back at our project, got our piece done. Had to do a little fine tuning, as I would expect with a piece this complex with this much detail, but I think we did all right. Starting with that paper template really made it so that we could capture all these little details, these little inside curves. I think we did pretty good there. We should be able to just drop this right in there. And there we go. Perfect fit.